live. I think we needed a little light on the subject, campers. It was cloudy this morning. It's the solstice. That's the shortest day of the year. Thus, the Yule log is burned to keep predators and enemies away during the longest night. And the celebrations begin because the days get longer and the sun brings nourishment to crops and the earth. And then there was light. Oh boy, we have a lot, excuse me, to talk about. We're going to have to do some riddles today because we need to make sure we're paying attention, and we really can't lay it out straightforward. So work with me, people. But before we do that, interesting comments in the comments and interesting thoughts in the last video. I'm blasting Mozart in the background. You might hear it. What I'm going to do for you as a solstice and a Christmas gift is I'm going to put a link to this album in the notes from a Dropbox so you can enjoy it as well. It's like the Mozart greatest hits, and I did this a couple of years ago for Christmas, and it's really amazing. But Mozart wrote 42 symphonies, I believe. Beethoven only wrote 9. And I had a wonderful conversation with our man Vern in the engineering department. And we're talking about the way that he composed. And the concept was this is like a direct download from the universe, from God, from the light source. And he used to like put it like live tape onto paper. Now realize, he's writing the music down. So he's not writing one part for an oboe or for a violin. He's writing a page for a friggin' orchestra. A symphony is unbelievable, right? He's got every instrument, French horns, cellos, violins, drums, chorus. He also wrote operas. The prolific power of this man's mind and the connection is like, could bring tears to your eyes from the brilliance. And there were very few times in history that this kind of brilliant genius was collected. And one of them was the time that we had our founders of our Constitution. Really great stuff. So one of the things we had is, I put that music in yesterday from Corey. If you haven't listened to it, do check it out. I had a chat with Dean last night, and last night I was up till 4:30 in the morning. I was going to do a broadcast, but I was doing some music, and I was playing for you musicians a little, an E145, right? E, A, B, using seventh chords the way Corey taught them. And it was very satisfying, and it sounded like music. Fingertips hurt, but it was great stuff. So arpeggios are the individual notes of a chord, or the 1, 3, 5 of any given chord, and you run them up and down. You have to practice them, and it has a musical tone to it. I don't know if anybody's listened to Robin Ford and the Blue Note or the Blue Line. Incredible musician, and he's working with arpeggios in the seventh chords, right? Hope you didn't get bored, but we're going to talk in some musical terms today. So that's an interesting thought. Right now, I'm thinking about some Zeppelin stuff, and we'll bring that in later when we have a little fun, because I've got a lot to talk about. I actually might get up and start pacing, because I think I will. So let me bring this in so I don't digress too far. I mentioned web, and I found the link with Steele in the last one. Now notice, and I'm doing the numbers, and I figured out how to do that in Notepad. If you put the number first, every time you hit paragraph, boom, you get a second number. So you might be in luck, campers. I can now number the links. Boy, miracles will never cease. Well, now. Okay, let me just mention this. So web is first, but as we know, the content gets better as we go further down the list. You can take a listen. He starts in at the 18-minute mark and does, I don't know, about 12 minutes, interesting stuff. And I ask you, where are the solutions? Flynn wasn't on the show. and it wasn't with him, it was after him, and I bailed after that. So, my position. I also corrected the link on Lee Dundas in the last one. Shout out to Scott NYC. All right. Yeah, I don't know how I did that. I had that doubled. Now, let me point out a couple of things. First, I changed the name on the YouTube. It's now Farmer Jones Law. What do you think? I don't know. Maybe I'll change it back. Comments, please, campers. Next, Light Warriors. I've got Lee Dundas in here talking about the Insurrection Act. Interesting perspective on that versus martial law. I'm smoking a cigarette. So you can check that out. And I'm reposting the Ice Age Farmer, which I put in about 3 shows again, and I was speaking with our engineering department about it. And what he points out here, and it is not necessarily a fact, but it is clearly in the realm of possibility along the lines of our Klaus Schwab-Z, who wants to talk about COVID being a nothing in light or contrast to a cyber attack. And Ice Age Farmer discusses individual blackouts and various hits on the system. Now, let's bring it back to what Prather said, where he was announcing the hack on the nukes. He forgot to mention, and I forgot to mention that he forgot to mention last time, that you remember Vault 7, right? Vault 7 was CIA hacking tools that were released accidentally. It got in the wild just accidentally. Can you hear those French horns? Mozart makes your IQ go higher because there's so much movement in there. They've established that. Children who listen to Mozzi get smarter. College kids too. Might work for you. Increase brain waves. Well, now. I always feel smarter after I listen to a Wolfie. Yeah? We're in a good mood today. The golden bubbles. Let me come back to this. Vault 7 was released. You know what one of the hack tools in there did was it allowed you to hack from wherever and make it look like the Russians did it. It leaves Russian fingerprints. Now remember when they had the hearing back in, was it 17, right after Trump was elected, and they were talking about the Russian hacking bullshit? Not one senator stepped up from his, interrogation platform and said, well, wouldn't Vault 7, that CIA released tool, leave Russian fingerprints on any hack? That's a simple question. Kind of rips right through the bullshit, tears the veil of bogosity, and knocks the complete bottom out of their platform, and their bullshit collapses into a pile of rubble where it belongs, and it should be scooped up and giscarded. That's my version of French, discarded, right? But nobody asked that simple question. Well now, why not? Zeppelin, the song remains the same. I had a dream, crazy dream. Well, after I finally decided to rest last night at 4:30 or so in the morning, having my cube steaks with turmeric, I had a dream, and there were golden bubbles rising. And I'll leave that for our light warriors to interpret. And I'll just say, thank you very much. And by the way, Mother is doing better too. More mobility, less pain, oh, good. And Piglet is doing wonderful. They might throw him on camera if he comes in and starts squealing again. I asked him, he says, the neighbors are out over there, right? And he's like whining because he wants to go, he's the mayor here, so he has to go visit his constituents. So he whines. I'm like, hush. So I said, do you want to go on the video? And he looks at me quizzically, tips the head, the way the dogs do that, with his ears popped up, and then he disappeared. Maybe he's being camera shy today. I had a dream. And then I was thinking about that song, Heartbreaker. And, I don't know any Anns or Annies. And I was saying this to somebody the other day. And you got, hey fellas, have you heard the news? You know that Annie's back in town. Won't take long just to watch and see all the fellas lay their money down. It's like, what? Who's Annie? She's the band's favorite hoe? I said, damn, that just clicked on me there. And guess what? I got a ping from an Anna last night, and I had to chuckle. So Anna, who is in the National Guard, and she transferred from Chicago down to here. It's very interesting. So I responded to her ping, and I sent her the link of the nurse in Chicago who passed out. Did you check that in Spiro's link? Well, guess what, campers? I am giving you a link to, it is just number 4. This is the nurse. This is just that scene of her passing out after she receives her vax, wearing her little mask. It's a 2-minute clip. Feel free to share this for those who might appreciate the reality of the situation. I thought it was funny. I said, I don't know any Annies, and then Anna Banana pops up. Then I thought about it. I used to date a girl named Anna. This is way back, 20 years ago. Quite attractive, from Idaho. In fact, after I was with her for about a month, one of her friends told me, oh, did she mention Penthouse? And I said, no. So it turns out she had done some spreads for Penthouse. Well, guess what? Very beautiful woman, like stunning. And she did 13 covers for Penthouse magazine. Now, anybody who follows that or did at the time knows that the most beautiful talent is on the cover. Sometimes they have them inside, sometimes it's just, we'll call it clickbait. Well, now, she was a Deep Purple fan as well. Crazy, but beautiful. What are you going to do, campers? You can only put up with it for so long. Yeah. That was an Anna. I got another one. We'll have to give her a shout later. Go visit. So, the nurse passing out. And then we got to dive into some serious stuff because we're celebrating our solstice, aren't we? Okay, that's a problem. And my question to you, campers, is, are they going to follow up with an interview on her? How you feeling? Or is she in a friggin' coma? Or is she paralyzed? Or is she debilitated? Or does she have palsy? I mean, this girl is like down and out. Boom. It was an allergic reaction. My ass, it was an allergic reaction. Oh, it was a reaction, all right. You're going to call that a reaction? Is this a side effect or is it now a known effect? All right, now let's move through this and then we got to tear this up a bit because we got some work to do. Bad news. The assholes at the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission, EEOC, or is it EOCC? I don't know. I may have misspelled it. I put EEOC. Listen to this nonsense. They approve, this is number 5, they approve employer-mandated vaccines. Like, yo, are you kidding me? And this is the discussion. Now, I'm going to point out to you, and pay attention, and tell this to your shithead reps. State, local, federal. They're not doing it yet because it's still experimental. Remember, we got an EUA, an emergency use authorization. Well, this thing should be stopped. And the next link is going to discuss that because that's from Vernon Coleman. All right, now Vernon is, he calls himself an old man in Britain. And I'm putting that in too. And the link under that is the actual CDC report, which I went to his site and pulled and I printed. The CDC report, Mozart. All right, the CDC report establishes the percents of, what's the word they call it? Adverse health results. This is as per, so far as of the 18th, and today is the 21st, they have done 150,000, we'll call them vaccines, we'll call them injections, and out of that, about 3,500 have been adverse health reactions. Vernon discusses this, and the data, as Berksy Poo, beast, will say, is the data. 3,500 out of 150,000 is 2.7%. Now, how do you define adverse health effects? This is terrifying. Adverse health effects means you are unable to work, unable to function normally in your daily life. This doesn't mean you have a swelling on the injection spot. This means you are debilitated. 3% out of 3%. What's the problem with the actual disease? The cure is worse than the disease. Do you see this? This is a problem. Now I'm backing up to the link 5, which is these clowns say it's okay for employers to mandate it. And in there they say if it poses a health hazard to the other employees. They cannot mandate anything right now because this is experimental and it will violate, all right, we're getting up. It will violate the Geneva Convention because it will be forced experimentation. Now they know this, but they're laying the foundation, turning this down. The full orchestra. All right? So they know what they're doing. They're very savvy, okay? They're very sophisticated. They know damn well they're not going to mandate anything until this is fully approved by the FDA. Now, how in the hell can the FDA approve something if you have an adverse health effect, Fauci double talk, which makes it sound like, oh, well, no. This is a debilitating result or a debilitating effect, preventing you from working, preventing you from operating in your daily life. And these sons of bitches have no liability. Now, you don't think it's time to speak up and ask these clowns, demand that they uphold their oath for the Constitution, protect our rights to the Constitution, right? That's their job, is to protect our rights, not theirs, while they stuff their faces in pockets with cash and emoluments. Whew. Stand by. So, the first thing, which we're talking, I'm looking at the sheet, is number 6. That's Vernon. So 5 is the EEOC authorizing this. And I want to know, I need your comments on this, because this is like, these people should be publicly executed. These people doing the FDA, who are going to approve this, should be publicly executed. This is potentially a criminal offense, and it is an assault, right? You remember Yoo-hoo? Yoo-hoo, right? Right? And who's running this operation? Does it matter? Now you got Vernon, and then you have the actual CDC report. I think it's on page 7 in there again. It's a sideways turn page. Scroll through it, and you'll see the numbers, and they stack them up. All right? That's what I got. Now, let's talk about some other stuff. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening with the litigation, but here's the one that strikes me the most curious. The clowns at Smartmatic say to Sydney, you must retract your statement calling us bad guys, or whatever the hell she called them, right? So she has Lynn Wood representing her, and he says to them, nope, she's not retracting it, go ahead and sue us. Excuse me, why aren't they being named directly? What the hell? They're going to invite them to become, he wants to become the defendant? That's crazy. Why is that? And I'm going to tell you a story that I shared with our engineering department yesterday. And a client a while ago, and he had a brilliant attorney before me who had passed before I met him. He told me this story. He was fined by the IRS, millions of dollars, as one of his companies, because the stupid, the chief financial officer at the company was ignoring the IRS's stuff. And I was like, I don't remember the number. It was a lot, $20 million or something. So he goes to his lawyer, and I won't name either. But the lawyer says, it was brilliant, and a great compliment was that my client said to other attorneys who knew counsel, we'll call him Stanley, I said, Alex reminds me of Stanley, the way he thinks. Very impressive compliment. So Stanley says to him, listen, you have the money? He says, yeah. He says, well, why don't you pay him? He says, what, are you crazy? He says, no, I'm going to pay them, and then we'll sue them. He says, why? He said, because they know how to prosecute a case, they don't know how to defend a case. Okay? So that was the strategy. Think about that. Right? They know how to prosecute a case. They don't know how to defend it. And they did. They won in district court. They won at appellate court. And they won at the U.S. Supreme Court. And this cost the IRS millions of dollars because the effect of that ruling dealt with a lot of other companies around the country who took advantage of the tax deduction. Got it? Now I'm looking at Sydney and I'm looking at Lynn, and they're saying sue us. Well, what the WTF, right? Sydney knows how to prosecute a case. Lynn defends. So why are they not going after them? This needs to be tweeted at them. Now, I'm not a tweeter, but I'm going to give you my Twitter. I have an account. It's called Farmer Jones 17. You'll find it, right? And I'm going to have to start tweeting, I think, and we'll see if I get cut off over there, right? I don't know, but we'll have to learn how to do it. And they need to be asked, and you can do it too, tweeters and light warriors. Ask Sydney, ask Lynn, ask Trump. Why aren't the Dominion and Smartmatic being named as defendants and co-conspirators in all of the cases where their software was involved? Okay, now, that's the key question, and they need to think about it. They need to sue Dominion, not wait for Dominion to sue them. Then it becomes a separate case, then you have to consolidate it, and then Dominion is going to be dictating the timeline, and it's going to get stalled and dragged, as opposed to going in and attacking. Now, I'm going to tell you something. You remember Mike Tyson? Way back when he first started? Focus. He used to walk in the ring, walk right up to the guy, and boom, 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 out. 15 seconds, 30 seconds fight. Why? Because there was no bullshit. There was focus. Walk in and take it down. No distractions. Done. Walk right through. This is a warrior. Right through the crowd. I don't give a shit what's going on. I'm taking you out. That's the way you deal with these assholes, in my opinion. Mikey hates everything. He likes it. All right, so that is a concern to me, that these guys are saying, oh, bring it on, and they haven't named them. Then we have the other bizarro issue, which is this business of martial law, and evidently, and I don't know what's real, what's not, and don't you, and don't we all, surprise, surprise. I guess the CIA and the fake media and the Smith modernization is up at full, cranked up. These go to 11, because the report says that Trump met with Sidney and Flynn in the White House, and they were talking about appointing Sidney as special prosecutor. I think that would be an amazing idea, don't you? Sure. More than half of America would probably think that's a great idea. Yet the report says staff is pushing back and saying, oh no, that's a bad idea. Why? Okay? Who are they going to appoint? Barr? Durham? Really? Oh, yeah. By the way, so I looked at the strike. It was a strike from August of 2019 on the video that slowed me down the other day on the alternate channel. Yes? I think that's where FJ may have called Barr a bad name, referencing his weight and his inability to push himself away from the pasta bar. Well, this is a personal attack, a disparagement, personal features. Really? I don't know. I'll have to check and see if I can take that video and maybe download it from another place, but I think they deleted it. I'd like to watch it and see what the problem is. We'll see. I gotta check. Did I do a backup on that one? But I think Ghislaine may have been mentioned in there. I think MK Ultra may have been named in there. It was a little too much light, not enough heat. You decide. Wow. Okay. So I don't want to babble here. So that is a concern. So now we've got all this noise back and forth. I think Sidney would be an amazing special prosecutor. And why hasn't Trump done it? The other thing I believe Trump should do is release the classified documents. Now, let's not forget the pasta man is resigning and he's stepping down on the 23rd. So today's the 21st. What's he playing? I'm telling you, he's playing games with timelines. And the DNI, I guess, still hasn't gotten his report. I don't know. I didn't do a heavy dive into where that's at. So his intelligence community will delay him, right? It's like, we don't get that idea? And as I pointed out in the last show, Trump doesn't need that stupid executive order to declare an insurrection or that we've been attacked, or and what should we declare? A state of emergency. We've had hacks on nuclear supplies. We have had a list of Chinese spies that have infiltrated everywhere. We have essential infrastructure that has been compromised, whether from a foreign power or not. So attacking elections or attacking power supplies or attacking anything that is essential infrastructure can be construed as an act of war. And that attack on our soil, my understanding, would justify a declaration of a state of emergency by Trump, right? He doesn't need the stupid executive order. This is all drama and bullshit. And all he needs to do is release those classified documents. He delegated that authority to Barr, his attorney general. Barr has not released them. Why not? You see what I'm saying? And then we have this nonsense with these vaccines. You need to check these things, and I'll let you do it, and I would appreciate your comments and your thoughts. I was talking with Dean last night, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time. He's out in LA. Hi, Dean. And aside from talking about music, we made the point about this whole declassification thing. And it dawned on me while we were talking that a great tweet to Trump might be, fake news should be illegal, but Smith-Mundt modernization makes it propaganda legal for the CIA domestically. Boom, and put a link in even to the Wikipedia link for Smith-Mundt or Smith-Mundt modernization. They may not have a separate one for the modernization, although in Smith-Mundt they refer to it, so it's a clickable. That would be an amazing tweet. People were saying, what do we do? That you could send to Fox News people, and you could send that to Trump directly, and to Flynn, and to Sidney. They need to know that this is there, and that fake news should be illegal would be real good. Like I said, what happens if they announce fake news? Incoming ballistic missiles. At what point does this become unacceptable? Is that like screaming fire in a crowded theater? Or is it an intentional act done with malice aforethought, as they say in the wonderful film, but intentional, knowingly? You decide. Thank you, campers. Let me check on the timeline here. I don't want to go too long. Gave you a lot of stuff last time, gave you a lot of stuff this time. I might have to come back and do a double dose. Boom, today. I hung the wreath for Christmas. Oh, good. I want to say aloha and thank our camper out in Hawaii. Sent me interesting pictures of, what's his face? The Chief Justice with Ghislaine. Little pink little outfit. I don't know, is it a real pic? Looks pretty real to me. Where and when, don't know. But they're doing the hang thing. Interesting. Hey fellas, have you heard the news? You know the Annie is back in town. Yeah. There's more meanings than one. The plot thickens. And we are rolling now. Thank you, campers. I'll be back later. If you like the thinking, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate the new patrons. Got to throw a post in there. Appreciate the PayPal contributions. If you send one, it all adds up and it helps the cause, especially since we're limited here. And we're getting good numbers, though. Out of 2,200, we're getting 1,500 views. What kind of metrics are that? That is we'll just say real strong. So, I guess we have loyal, interested, dedicated campers and light warriors. Oh, good. Back in black. All right. So if you send anything, put a note in there. I love that, and I'll respond. Okay, campers, thank you kindly, and check these links, share them, take a few minutes and look at them, especially the bottom 3. That's on the vaccine. Wow. EEOC. Vernon Coleman, great, share that. And the last one is actually the link from the CDC. Vernon says in there he's afraid that they might take down the link on his site, not from the CDC. Like 2.7% have what they call adverse health reactions. Debilitating injury preventing you from living and operating life normally and your inability to work. What do you think that means? Debilitating people because they need a vaccine that kills 0.03%. Leave a comment. Thank you, campers. FJ out.